Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, remaining calm. Today's update on the book will be the second part to the ninth chapter titled Landing on Planet Earth in Zecharia Sitchin's The 12th Planet. On the last update, there was an accident made on the video. I mistakenly didn't put the last page that I was reading for everyone in the slide, but it will be in today's slide because it's where we left off in the reading. So where we left off was on page 272. And it says, "We may never know whether countless years from now, someone on another planet will find and understand the message drawn on the plaque attached to Pioneer 10. Likewise, one would think it futile to expect to find on Earth such a plaque in reverse, a plaque conveying to Earthlings information regarding the location and the route from the 12th planet. Yet such extraordinary evidence does exist. The evidence is a clay tablet found in the ruins of the Royal Library in Nineveh. Like many of the other tablets, it is undoubtedly an Assyrian copy of an earlier Sumerian tablet. Unlike others, it is a circular disc, and though some cuneiform signs on it are excellently preserved, the few scholars who took on the task of deciphering the tablet ended by calling it the most puzzling Mesopotamian document. In 1912, L. W. King, then curator sorry, of Assyrian and Babylonian antiquities in the British Museum, made a meticulous copy of the disc, which is divided into 8 segments. The undamaged portions bear geometric shapes unseen on any other ancient artifact, designed and drawn with considerable precision. They include arrows, triangles, intersecting lines, and even an ellipse, a geometric mathematical curve previously assumed to have been unknown in ancient times, in figure 122, which is on the next page and the next slide. The unusual and puzzling clay plaque was first brought to the attention of the scientific community in a report submitted to the British Royal Astronomical Society on January 9, 1880, titled RHM Bosanquet and A.H. Sayce, in one of the earliest discourses on the Babylonian astronomy, referred it to as a planisphere, the reproduction of a spherical surface as flat as a flat map. They announced that some of the cuneiform signs on it suggest measurements, appear to bear some technical meaning. The many names of the celestial bodies appearing in the 8 segments of the plaque clearly established its astronomical character. Bosanquet and Sayce were especially intrigued by the 7 dots in one segment. They said these might represent the phases of the moon. Were it not for the fact that the dots appeared to run along a line naming the star of stars, Dilgan, and a celestial body called Apin, there could be there can be no doubt that this enigmatical figure is susceptible of a simple explanation, they said, but their own effort to provide such an explanation did not go beyond reading correctly the phonetic values of the cuneiform signs, and the conclusion that the disk was a celestial planisphere. When the Royal Astronomical Society published a sketch of the planisphere, J. Oppert and P. Jensen im- improved the reading of some star or planet names. Dr. Fritz Hammel, writing in a German magazine in 1891, Die Astronomie der alten Chaldäer, drew attention to the fact that each one of the 8 segments of the planisphere formed an angle of 45 degrees, from which he concluded that a total sweep of the skies, all 360 degrees of the heavens, was represented. He suggested that the focal point marked some location in the Babylonian skies. There the matter rested until Ernest F. Widener, first in an article published in 1912 titled Babylonica zur Babylonischen Astronomie, and then in his major textbook Handbuch der Babylonischen Astronomie in 1915, thoroughly analyzed the tablet only to conclude that it did not make sense. So let's take a look at that figure. This is figure 122 when Sitchin was making the reference about on some maps and cartography, it's split up like an augmented pie shape, with like triangles intersecting each other. His bafflement was caused by the fact that while the geometric shapes and the names of stars or planets written within the various segments were legible or intelligible, even if their meaning or purpose was unclear, the inscriptions along the lines running at 45-degree angles to each other just did not make sense. They were invariably a series of repeated syllables in the tablet's Assyrian language. They ran, for example, thus: Lu birdie, Lu birdie, Lu birdie, bat bat bat, kash 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 kash, alu 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 alu. Widener concluded that the plaque was both astronomical and astrological, used as a magical tablet for exorcism, like several other texts consisting of repeated syllables. With this, he said he laid to rest any further interest in the unique tablet. But the tablet's inscriptions assume a completely different aspect if we try to read them, not as Assyrian word signs but as Sumerian word syllables, for there can hardly be any doubt that the tablet represents an Assyrian copy of an earlier Sumerian original. When we look at one of the segments, which we can number 1, its meaningless symbols, na 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 na, ana, ananu, along the descending line, sha 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 sha, which is along the circumference, sham sham bur bur ker, along the horizontal line, literally spring into meaningfulness if we enter the Sumerian meaning of these word syllables in figure 123, which is on the next slide. What unfolds here is a route map marking the way by which the god Enlil went by the planets, accompanied by some operating instructions. The line inclined at 45 degrees appears to indicate the line of a spaceship's descent from a point which is high, 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 through vapor clouds and a lower zone that it is vaporless toward the horizon point where the skies and the ground meet. So up at the top of the page is Sitchin's figure number 123, where pretty much those dots represent not just the dots, but the triangles and the lines and the dots in the triangles are translated as what we read just before that. In the skies near the horizontal line, the instructions to the astronauts make sense. They are told to set their instruments for the final approach. Then, as they near the ground, rockets are fired to slow the craft, which apparently should be raised or piled up before reaching the landing point because it has to pass over high or rugged terrain, which is mountain. The information provided in this segment clearly pertains to a space voyage by Enlil himself. In this first segment, we are given a precise geometric sketch of two triangles connected by a line that runs at an angle. The line represents a route for the inscription clearly states that the sketch shows how the deity Enlil went by the planets. The starting point is the triangle on the left, representing the farther reaches of the solar system. The target area is on the right, where all the segments converge toward the landing point. The triangle on the left, drawn with its base open, is akin to a known sign in Near Eastern pictographic writing. Its meaning can be read as the ruler's domain, the mountainous land. The triangle on the right is identified by the inscription Shu Ut Il Enlil, which is way of God Enlil. The term, as we know, denotes Earth's northern skies. The angled line then connects what we believe to have been the 12th planet, the ruler's domain, the mountainous land, with Earth's skies. The route passes between two celestial bodies, Dilgan and Apin. Some scholars have maintained that these were names of distant stars or parts of constellations. In modern manned and unmanned spacecraft navigate by obtaining a fix on predetermined bright stars. A similar navigational technique for the Nephilim cannot be ruled out, yet the notion that the two names stand for such faraway stars somehow does not agree with the meaning for their names. Dilgan meant literally the first station, and a pin where the right course is set. The meanings of the names indicate way stations, points passed by. We tend to agree with such authorities as Thomson, Epping, and Strassmayer, who identified a pin as the planet Mars. If so, the meaning of the sketch becomes clear. The route between the planet of kingship and the skies above Earth passed between Jupiter, which is the first station, and Mars, which is where the right course is set. This terminology, by which the descriptive names of the planets were related to their role in the space voyage of the Nephilim, conforms with the names and epithets in the lists of the seven Shu planets. As if to confirm our conclusions, the inscription stating that this was the route of Enlil appears below a row of seven dots, the seven planets that stretch from Pluto to Earth. Not surprisingly, the remaining four celestial bodies, those in the zone of confusion, are shown separately, beyond Earth's northern skies and celestial band. Evidence that this is a space map and flight manual shows up in all the other undamaged segments too. Continuing in a counterclockwise direction, the legible portion of the next segment bears the inscription take, cast, complete. The third segment, where a portion of the unusual elliptical shape is seen with the legible inscriptions include Kakab Sibzi Sibzi Anna, envoy of Anna, deity Ishtar, and the intriguing sentence deity Nini, supervisor of descent. In the fourth segment, which contains what to appear to be directions on how to establish one's destination, according to a certain group of stars, the descending line is specifically identified as the skyline. The word sky is repeated 11 times under the line. Does this segment represent a flight phase nearer Earth, nearer the landing spot? This might indeed be the import of the legend over the horizontal line. Hills, 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 top, 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 top. City, 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 city. The inscription in the center says Kakab Mashtaba, or Gemini, whose encounter is fixed. Kakab Sibziana, or Jupiter, provides knowledge. If, as appears to be the case, the segments are arranged in an approach sequence, then one can almost share the excitement of the Nephilim as they approach Earth's spaceport. The next segment, again identifying the descending line as sky, 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 also announces our light, our light, our light, change, 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 observe path and high ground, flat land. The horizontal line contains for the first time figures rocket, 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 rise, glide, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 20, 22, 22. The upper line of the next segment no longer states sky, sky. Instead, it calls for channel, channel, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. A pattern is discernible in this largely damaged segment. Along one of the lines, the inscription says Ashur, which can mean he who sees or seen. The seventh segment is too damaged to add to our examination. The few discernible syllables mean distant, distant, sight, sight, and the instructional words are pressed down. Eighth and final segment, however, is almost complete. Directional lines, arrows, and inscriptions mark a path between two planets. Instructions to pile up mountain, mountain, show four sets of crosses inscribed twice, fuel water grain, and twice vapor water grain. Was this a segment dealing with preparations for the flight toward Earth, or one dealing with stocking up for the return flight to rejoin the 12th planet? The later may have been the case, for the line with the sharp arrow pointing toward the landing site on Earth has at its other end another arrow pointing towards the opposite direction and bearing the legend return in figure 124 just below us. When Ea arranged for a news emissary to make Adapa take the road to heaven, and Anu discovered the ruse, he demanded to know, why did Ea, to a worthless human, the plan of heaven earth disclose, rendering him distinguished, making a Shem for him? In the planisphere we have just deciphered, we indeed see such a road map, a plan of heaven earth. In sign language and in words, the Nephilim have sketched for us the route from their planet to ours. And I'm going to pause for a little bit and let everyone take a look at the figure. Otherwise, inexplicable texts dealing with celestial distances also make sense if we read them in terms of space travel from the 12th planet. One such text found in the ruins of Nippur and believed to be some 4,000 years old is now kept at the Hilprecht collection at the University of Jena in Germany. O. Neubauer in The Exact Sciences in Antiquity established that the tablet was undoubtedly a copy from an original composition which was older. It gives ratios of celestial distances starting from the moon to Earth and then through space to 6 other planets. The second part of the text appears to have provided the mathematical formulas for solving whatever the interplanetary problem was, stating, according to some readings, 40, 4, 20, 6, 40 times 9 is 640. 13 Kasbu 10 Ushmul Shupa Eli Mul Ger Sud 44 26 40 times 7 is 5 11 6 and 40. 10 Kasbu 11 Ush 6 and a half Kar 2 U Mul Gertab Eli Mul Shupa Sud. There has never been full agreement among scholars as to the correct reading of the measurement units in this part of the text. A new reading was suggested to us in a letter from Dr. J. Olsner, custodian of the Hilprecht collection at Jena. It is clear, however, that the second part of the text measured distances from Shupa, or Pluto. Only the Nephilim traversing the planetary orbits could have worked out these formulas. Only they needed such data, taking into consideration that their own planet and their target, Earth, were both in continuous motion. The Nephilim had to aim their craft not where Earth was at launch time, but where it would be at arrival time. We can safely assume that the Nephilim worked out their trajectories very much as modern scientists map the missions to the moon and other planets. The spacecraft of the Nephilim was probably launched from the 12th planet in the direction of the 12th planet's own orbit, but well ahead of its arrival in Earth's vicinity. Based on these and a myriad other factors, two alternative trajectories for the spacecraft were worked out for us by Amnon Sitchin, Doctor of Aeronautics and Engineering. The first trajectory would call for the launching of the spacecraft from the 12th planet before it reached its apogee, or the point farthest out. With few power needs, the spaceship would actually not so much change course as slow down. While the 12th planet, a space vehicle too, even though a huge one, continued on its vast elliptical orbit, the spaceship would follow a much shorter elliptical course and reach Earth far ahead of the 12th planet. This alternative may have offered the Nephilim both advantages and disadvantages. The full span of 3,600 Earth years, which applied to 10 years of office and other activities of the Nephilim upon Earth, suggests that they might have preferred the second alternative, that of a short trip and a stay in Earth's skies, coinciding with the arrival of the 12th planet itself. This would have called for the launching of the spaceship, which is point C, when the 12th planet was about midway on its course back from the apogee. With the planet's own speed rapidly increasing, the spaceship required strong engines to overtake its home planet and reach Earth point D, a few Earth years ahead of the 12th planet. Figure 125 is what we just read. Based on complex technical data, as well as hints in Mesopotamian texts, it appears that the Nephilim adopted for their Earth missions the same approach NASA adopted for the Moon missions. When the principal spaceship neared the target planet, which is Earth, it went into orbit around that planet without actually landing. Instead, a smaller craft was released from the mothership and performed the actual landing. As difficult as accurate landings were, the departures from Earth must have been even trickier. The landing craft had to rejoin its mothership, which then had to fire up its engines and accelerate to extremely high speeds for it had to catch up with the 12th planet, which by then was passing its perigee between Mars and Jupiter at its top orbital speed. Dr. Sitchin has calculated that there were 3 points in the spaceship's orbit of Earth that lent themselves to a thrust toward the 12th planet. The three alternatives offered the Nephilim a choice of catching up with the 12th planet within 1.1 to 1.6 Earth years. Suitable terrain, guidance from Earth, and perfect coordination with the home planet were required for successful arrivals, landings, takeoffs, and departures from Earth. As we shall see, the Nephilim met all these requirements, and that does the ninth chapter, landing on planet Earth, in Zecharia Sitchin's The 12th Planet. Take a quick moment to thank everyone for listening along. I'm sorry about that. For listening along and being a part of everything going on. With that, I thank you all, and especially love you all. Have a safe night, day, morning, wherever you may be. Thank you all.